here in New York was one of the most famous, actually, I didn't say for many, many years. This is where the 7-Up story developed, was out of New York Temple, Henry Street Temple. From London to New York, whatever it was, 10-hour flight or so. And I'm sitting, Prabhupada always sat at the window seat, always sat at the window. And my service was to sit next to him. And I'm sitting next to him, and next to me was Shama Sundar. And the stewardess is rolling a cart down. This was also summertime. And Prabhupada looks, what is that? And the little cups are on the top of the tray, the stainless steel tray, just clear cups with Coca-Cola, 7-Up, ice. And you can see the bubbles. Prabhupada, what's that? It's 7-Up. I said, okay. So that was the first time, and never, Prabhupada asked for. So of course, whatever Prabhupada did, so now we have 3 7-Ups. Prabhupada took a 7-Up, which means we follow his example. So we have our 7-Ups. And on the plane, we always observe the rule. You just follow Prabhupada like shadow. Because there were no prayers, nothing. Prabhupada picked something up. So as soon as he picked it up, we pick it up. Because it's going to become prasadam in a second, as soon as he puts it in his mouth. So now he's got this 7-Up, ice cubes, see the fizzies popping up. And we're just watching Prabhupada. And he takes it and he puts it in. Because the bubbles make you have a reaction. And he looked at me. He said, this is very good. So he took a few more sips. Every time he took a sip, so then hours go by, and now they're pushing the cart down with the cans, everything, giving out drinks for everyone. So they're coming, and they stop in front. And of course, Prabhupada didn't talk to them. He talked to me. I was the translator. I'd take it from the spiritual to the material platform. I was very good at that. I could translate materially. That's the only thing I could translate, was from Prabhupada's transcendental sound vibration to my mundane sound vibration. No other language I ever learned. So I looked at Prabhupada. He said, yes, 7 o'clock. Called it 7 o'clock. So I said, we'll all have 7-Ups. So now we have the cans of 7-Up in the glass with the ice, and I poured a 7-Up in it. And Prabhupada picks up the can, and he's looking. He goes, carbonated water, sugar, lemon lime. Then it was very clean, no chemicals, lemon lime. He looks, he said, this is very good. Yes, bro. And again, we went through the ritual, Prabhupada. 7-Up. So now I come Henry Street Temple, a beautiful temple, beautiful deities, wonderful devotees. Here in New York, Prabhupada, first place he turned into Vrindavan, New York City, all over New York. Just like if we live in Vrindavan, why? Because Krishna had his pastimes there. Everywhere he put his lotus feet, the dust we're putting on our head. This is here in New York, Prabhupada, everywhere in New York, in the Bowery, in Brooklyn, in Manhattan, so many places. It's a blessed city. It's a holy place, a tirtha. You live in a tirtha. And these deities. Prabhupada, all he has to do to install a deity is look at them. That's the power of the pure devotee. You don't need any ceremonies. We have them. Prabhupada chant Hare Krishna. But just him seeing him, he bring the deity. He bring the Lord into the deity form. So we arrive, and Kirtiraj, who we were initiated same day, me and Kirtiraj. and we're in Prabhupada's room. Temple was on the left of the hallway. Prabhupada's quarters was on the right. It was a nice flat, big flat. He only used the sitting room. And Kirti says, "Do you want any? Does Prabhupada need anything?" And me, I was not a very creative person in general. When they say with Prabhupada, because he never needed anything. He never expressed, "I need this, I want this, my cushion's not," never said anything. I said, "You can get 6-pack of 7-Up. Kirti, he looked at me like I was completely crazy. No one, we didn't, I think water was about the only thing we drank outside of the temple. Nothing you would take from outside. There was no sodas, no juices, no chips, none of these things. So I said, a 6-pack of 7-Up. What? I said, just get a 6-pack of 7-Up. So he did. So there was a little fridge, one of the little mini fridges, like in the hotel rooms. So I got it, and it was like I had illegal substance, like narcotics. I put it in the refrigerator. I didn't say anything to anyone because it was, 7-Up. And I didn't even give it to Prabhupada for a day or so. So then, by Krishna's arrangement, one evening, there was a temple president in Prabhupada's room talking to him. He went in, we went in together, then he waited for me to leave and he shut the door. My godbrother shut the door behind me, wanted to have private conversation with Prabhupada. So I'm just sitting by the kitchen on the floor, and he comes out, this devotee comes out, he comes up to me, and he was very abrupt and said, Prabhupada wants water. And he's waiting for me to give him the water. And I say, okay, it's my service. This is my service. So finally he went away, and I thought, now's the time. So I had the silver tray and the silver goblet, and I take the 7-Up and pour it in. And now I have the tray, and I walk up to Prabhupada's door, which is closed again. And I open the door, and the devotee comes right to the door trying to grab my tray. I could be very obstinate if I wanted to. So he's trying to take it off me, and I'm like, no, especially because it's not water, it's 7-Up in here. This is not ordinary. I said, I got it. So he stepped back, and I walked up to Prabhupada, and I put it down on the table. Prabhupada's sitting, and I sit down, and he looks, and he sees the bubbles coming up. He said, what is this? I said, oh, Prabhupada, it's 7-Up. He said, oh. And he grabbed it, sitting there, and he grabbed the cup. He said, this is very good. Prabhupada was so excited on this 7. He said, very good. And then he stood up, and he grabbed his cup, and he just stood there. Looked like a 7-Up commercial. He stood there with the cup in his hand, and he just kept sipping. Take a little sip, because you can't take a lot at one time, all those bubbles, So he took a little sip, and my godbrother's head's exploding. Prabhupada's drinking 7-Up. This is unheard of. Probably all over in the spiritual world, they were telling one another. Narada Muni running. Prabhupada's drinking a 7-Up down there. So then he finished it. And I said, would you like some more? He said, no, that's okay. So I left. So I also got away with, when the spiritual master asks for water, you don't bring him milk. But you can bring him 7-Up. You always follow his instructions, but this. And then the next day came. They were always looking for a bigger temple. Henry Street was so crowded. Bigger temple. Prabhupada conquered New York City. So it was Bali Murdan. He says, Prabhupada, we have a place to look at. He said that we could possibly purchase, and we'd like to take you to see it. And Prabhupada agreed. So we all go out into this car, and it was a little Toyota. This is 1973. So it was just this tiny little Toyota car or something. 4-door, no AC, nothing like that. And Kirtiraj is driving. So there's Kirtiraj driving, Bali Mardhan sitting next to him, and Prabhupada and I are in the back seat. So we drive up, and I don't know where it was, but it was a big cathedral, big Catholic church cathedral, big everything, steeple, it was a beautiful place. And we drove up and parked across the street. And Prabhupada gets out and he sees it, and he's, oh, it's very nice, he said. And from across the street, he looked on the doors. You know, the churches have the pews, big lights hanging down. And Prabhupada said, oh, we can call this Gauranga Hall. He immediately already picked the name for the place. Gauranga Hall, he said, we can call. And he's ready to go across the street to go see the place. And Bali says, no. He said, we can't actually go in. And he had different excuses why we couldn't, see the people. So now we're standing on the corner across the street. And it's July, and it's hot, and it's noontime. And Prabhupada's there, beautiful dhoti, kurta, saffron, standing there, and we're all there with our shaved heads. And there's a bodega, right? Store bodega, is that what it's called? Little mom and pop store, which were everywhere in New York in those days, 50 years ago. So we're right there. And Prabhupada looks, he sees the store, and he looks at Kirtiraj. He said, do they have 7 o'clock? Kirtiraj says, what? I said, Prabhupada wants a 7-Up. Kirtiraj, huh? Still couldn't believe Prabhupada would want a 7-Up. So I said, get him a 7-Up. So Kirtiraj, he goes in the store, he comes back with 1 can of soda. 1 can for Prabhupada. Because he had to go to the treasurer, I guess, and explain spending 35 cents for a can of soda or something. So 1 can he came out with. There's 4 of us, but he came out with a can of soda for Prabhupada. And I, of course, opened it up. And now Prabhupada's standing on the corner, New York City, with his cane down and his left hand pointing down. And he's drinking his 7-Up. Yes, always went, take a sip, and we're just looking at him. And who is this person, Every day I would think that when I saw him. He would do something, you would just say, who is he? He'd do something like this, So then we get in the car, and Prabhupada's sitting beside me, he takes another sip, and then he hands me the can. So from the front seat, 4 hands are reaching back. Everybody's trying to get Prabhupada's Maha 7-Up, So we shared it. We all took a sip. It was 2 days later, we were in Los Angeles. And Karandar comes into Prabhupada's room. First thing he said to Prabhupada, everyone's putting sodas in their refrigerator. All the grahastas are buying cases of soda because they heard you drank a 7-Up. Prabhupada said, oh, that's not good, he said, I take it sometimes for digestion. But whatever he did, we would imitate, except getting up at 1 in the morning. No one imitated that, but Prabhupada put a golden Tulsi chain on, and gradually he took it off. He said, no, everybody's getting Tulsi gold chains now. So he said, no, not a good thing. So he said, no. But it became a whole culture. Whenever Prabhupada was on the airplane, when they would start serving drinks, if other devotees, sometimes flights from LA to Mexico City or New York to Detroit, if anyone was there, other devotees, Prabhupada would always say, 7-Ups. He was like, everyone get a 7-Up. He was treating, but it was only on the planes you were allowed to have 7-Up. Because we weren't on the ground, we were, we were up high there, so 7-Up became a fashion. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna Krishna